Greetings from the mountains of Colombia. As you can see, we're here in the Andes, about an hour from Bogota. And my name is J Weiskopf. The name of the series is Ayahuasca Express. Although we're going to deal with a lot of other subjects, that is the core of this series. It's very mysterious. They'd hand me the joint, I'd take a puff, 2 puffs, and they said, no, it's enough. And then came to the point, and I'm not exaggerating, when they handed me the joint, I put it to my mouth. No. I don't know how this did this, how it happened, but it did happen in my case. This is a link with another subject, which is tobacco. Because, see, if ayahuasca is that miraculous and rid me of this vice, it didn't do that for cigarettes. I gave up cigarettes, I took up cigars, I gave up cigars, I went into other substances, and I'm still addicted to tobacco in indigenous forms of it. So let's not say that ayahuasca is miraculous, but this happens. Now, the conclusion from all this is marijuana a bad thing? First of all, I'd say it is kid stuff, and I don't mean that necessarily in a negative sense. In other words, teenagers, they're going to high school, their parents are very straight, they're living in the suburbs, life is very empty, and they don't understand why, they feel discontented, and they smoke marijuana. And it opens up their perception, begin to see the falsity of many of our values. As I said, I think weed is all right as an initiation. It wakes kids up. There's a comradeship with the other smokers. There's like a conspiracy against the straights, against the parents, against society, against having a career, following the rat race. That's all right. But passing a certain point, for example, when you get to university, you really have to concentrate and study and read with care. When it no longer serves. And in addition, I don't think it is invalid to want to get high in the sense of releasing yourself from your daily mindset, going up to a more exalted plane, relief from the anxieties of life, insight into other dimensions of life. This is fine, this is valid. But when you have ayahuasca, you have coca, even tobacco in certain forms, and other plants, which I consider to be sacred plants, illuminating plants. Why stick with this stuff? Now, the argument of the dopers is a specious one, because they say, but look at all these sadhus in India who smoke dope, these naked guys who go along the street with their beggar stuff, and they're all stoned out of their minds. Very simple. There is no tradition to that, or it's a very attenuated tradition. Whereas with ayahuasca, for example, we have hundreds of years of a ritualistic use. We have a code of conduct. We have guides who can teach us. And so we can make a healthy, a sane, a productive use of it. Whereas this does not exist in marijuana. And anyone who says, it's a sacred plant in India, 2,000 years ago in the Vedic era, but since then, the last few hundred years, I don't think so. I think it's just a vice. In that period when I was in Bogota, first days, and then a few years later when I returned and I was actually working for a living as a journalist and an English teacher, I had a lot of friends who were craftsmen, artisans, musicians. And, there's something about this repetitive work, jewelry, you're working with hands all day long, you're grinding, you're polishing. Or a musician, you're playing your chords, you're practicing. there is something about that particular calling where marijuana may be beneficial. But if you're like me, a writer, you're mindy, you're always thinking a million things, and I have a nervous temperament. No, it does not suit you. Now, I'll finish off the story with my swan song. So as I said, was in Colombia, had given it up, or it didn't appeal to me. I was doing Yajé, ayahuasca. But once every Christmas season, I'd go to visit my parents in Jerry Seinfeld territory, Delray Beach, where his fictional parents actually lived, like a retirement home. Old people to the horizon, very boring, the swimming pool, but that was about it. Aesthetically very nice, the palm trees, the climate, I'm a hot climate person, but it was desperate. So it happened that we made some friends in Miami, and also a guy who had a farm out in Homestead. And this guy, very nice guy in Homestead, invited me to spend the New Year's. And so it was New Year's, and I wanted a break from the monotony of the retirement village. The guy had some good weed, and I went overboard. And the next day, I had the mother of all hangovers. I mean, I can't describe it. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And it lasted, the whole day, the whole night. I just, it was torture. And that was 25, 30 years ago. And I swear that I have not had a puff of marijuana since. Thank you. This is the end of this episode.